This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5 o'clock, it is July 1st, and that means there are a number of new laws now in effect here in Indiana. Our Aaron Lish is breaking down the changes for the Hoosier State starting today. And this morning, Metro Police are trying to figure out who shot and killed a man on the city's east side. The reason they're having a hard time getting information. And the Hoosier train line from Indianapolis to Chicago came to an end overnight. But just ahead, the new way you can get to the Windy City that's starting up this morning. But first, it is 5 o'clock here on your Monday morning. Happy July 1st. I'm Meredith Barrick, joined by meteorologist Todd Clausen. And we are heading into July with some heat.
You know, June was so wet across the area, and then we ended with a few really warm days. Now July, here we are with the heat and humidity, and some minor storm chances in the forecast here for the day today. It's only about a 20 to 30% chance as we work our way, especially into the afternoon hours, that we start to build in the threat of an isolated downpour with some heavy rain and a little bit of light, and we were not expecting anything widespread like yesterday when we saw that widespread heavy rainfall. So that is good news, at least in our forecast. 67 in Bloomington as well as Peru, 68 officially in Indianapolis, and that 67, 68 number real common in and around the metro area here. 67 in Plainfield, New Pal as well. Greenfield currently at 68 degrees. So radar is quiet here this morning. We'll throw the clouds on for you with the satellite picture, and skies are partly cloudy. All the rain is staying off to our west. But as we work our way throughout the day today, again, we'll manufacture an isolated thunderstorm or two later on this afternoon. Very, very spotty. By far the bigger concern today is the heat, already into the mid-80s by the noon hour, with high temperatures eventually climbing all the way up into the low 90s. But when you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel more like 95 to maybe 98 degrees across the area. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. The good news is no major problems out there on the roadways. If you're coming in from the west side, heading eastbound on I-74 from State Road 267 to 465 should run you about 7 minutes. So everything's moving along just fine. Let's take a look at this on our live-in.traffic camera. I-465 at I-74 on the west side rings true as you see it. So I just showed you everything's moving along. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update, including some construction projects coming up in the next 20 minutes.
Elena, thank you. As we roll into July, new laws will go into effect today here in the Hoosier State. This morning, our Aaron Lish is working for you. She's live outside the State House with some of the big laws signed by the governor earlier this year. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So you see thousands of bills going to the State House, but only a few of them get signed by the governor. So here are some of the more notable ones. One big thing was Indiana didn't have any hate crime laws, and that changes today. One will be going into effect where a judge can consider bias due to a crime victim's real or perceived traits, and it is being criticized for not clearly covering age, sex, or gender identity. Another law is allowing people who are wrongfully incarcerated eligible to receive $50,000 for each year behind bars once a conviction is vacated. And lastly, for all emergency dispatchers in Indiana, they must complete training in telephone CPR. And this is vital in rural areas where first responders have longer trips to arrive once on scene. Now, there are, again, a handful of those different laws out there this session. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to have a little bit more on how they can impact some of your Hoosier students. But for now, I'll send it back to you in the studio, Meredith.
Aaron, thank you. Starting today, deer hunters can register for the 2019 Deer Hunt Registry. It's a service provided by the Department of Natural Resources that allows hunters to register for deer hunting opportunities. Landowners, golf courses, parks, and farmers participating in the Community Hunter Access Program can use the registry to identify prospective hunters for their property. This morning, Metro Police are investigating a deadly shooting on the city's east side. It happened on North Dearborn Street near 10th and Rural Streets around 7:15 last night. Police found a 43-year-old man in the front yard who was suffering from at least one gunshot wound. Investigators believe the victim lived at the home where the shooting happened. Police say it does not appear that this was a random act of violence, but they are having problems getting witnesses to talk. If you have any information that could help investigators, please contact Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. And this morning, investigators are asking for your help finding a missing 13-year-old girl. Valentina LaCava was last seen 10 days ago at her home in Greenwood. Her friends and family are pleading with the public to help bring her home. She is 5'1" and weighs 110 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information about where she is, please contact the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. The Marion County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a retired canine officer. The 12-year-old dog has been missing for more than 3 days now. Police say she was frightened by fireworks and escaped from her enclosure. The canine was last seen in the Canby area. If you have any information, you can call authorities at 317-327-3811. Deputies say the former narcotics canine is not a bite dog and is very friendly. She has leg issues and is microchipped. A new bus service is available starting today for people looking to travel between Indianapolis and Chicago. The service is a direct response to the end of the Hoosier State Amtrak passenger train route that ran 4 days a week. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. And Alyssa, this new company is running a special promotion right now for riders.
That's right, Meredith. The company Our Bus is offering $10 rides for the first 2 weeks of service here in Indianapolis. They say that this is a way for them to gauge interest and need for a new busing service between these two major cities. Now, the Hoosier State passenger train ended yesterday due to lack of funding. Amtrak does run another route between Indianapolis and Chicago, their Cardinal route, and that's part of their Chicago to New York City route. That runs 3 days a week. This bus company is hoping to help bridge the gap in transportation. Now, there are other busing options to and from Chicago through Greyhound and Megabus. But what makes this bus company different is that they're higher end, they're app-based, and riders can request stops that they believe should be along the route.
The route is based off customer feedback we receive. So the train has stops for a lot of smaller towns that are off the highway. It's not practical to serve them all, so instead what we want to do is hear from people where they want the bus to stop.
Now, the company has already received enough requests that the bus will have a stop in Zionsville. They'll add more stops as requests come in. Right now, the company only has 2 times that the bus runs, one at 7:30 right from here across from the Indy Transit Center, leaving from Indianapolis, and then a returning service from Chicago that leaves that city at 5 p.m., gets back here at 10 p.m. However, they say if there is a need and people request it, they will add more times. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. If you're headed in the opposite direction and driving to Louisville, it will cost you a little more starting today. Riverlink is raising the toll fees to cross the Ohio River about 2.5% starting today, July 1st. If you have a Riverlink account and transponder, the new rate for a passenger vehicle will be $2.10 up to from $2.05. Those with transponders and prepaid accounts pay the lowest rates. Tolling is in place on the bridges connecting Indiana to Kentucky, including the Lewis and Clark Bridge, the I-65 Abraham Lincoln Bridge, and the I-65 Kennedy Bridge. This story will create a lot of fireworks for people who like going to concerts. You can get tickets for $25 or less to more than 30 different shows in the Indianapolis area during Live Nation's 4th of July Ticket Explosion event. Ticket sales start this morning at 10 a.m. You have until July 8th to cash in on the deal. The shows take place at all major local venues: Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center, the Farm Bureau Insurance Lawn at White River State Park, and Old National Center. To see a full list of participating shows and purchase tickets by visiting theindychannel.com. It is 5:09 right now. Todd's got a check at our Monday forecast.
Yeah, as you wake up here and get going, it's more of the same. We're carrying over the weekend weather into our work week here. Maybe some of you took the whole week off with the 4th of July holiday coming up on Thursday, but you might want the iced coffee here this morning compared to the regular coffee, with temperatures that will be in the 70s throughout the morning hours, but will warm very quickly from here with skies that are partly cloudy. No threat of rain in the forecast here this morning. As you see, the skies are partly cloudy. All the showers and storms are either off to our west or to our north. And the main storm track here is through Minneapolis, then towards Green Bay, and then eventually into Michigan. Michigan, as the core of the hot air is keeping all those storms to the north. So that is the good news in our forecast. Highs today in the upper 80s to low 90s once again. It will feel, though, a little bit warmer than all these temperatures that you see here when you factor in the humidity and how muggy is it going to be. Well, it is going to feel very, very uncomfortable here. You'll have that instant sweat as soon as you start moving out and about outside. We'll talk more about your extended forecast and your 4th of July holiday coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. The tensions could be easing between the United States and China. We're getting an inside look at the improving relationship when it comes to trade. And record-breaking heat has been hitting Europe. Just after the break, we'll show you where the temperatures topped 114 degrees over the weekend. We'll be right back.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
President Trump says there is no timeline on a trade deal with China, but said a deal is getting closer. He said in an interview after the G20 in Japan, and he'll say it again tonight in an interview that airs on Fox News. Trump told Tucker Carlson it's the, quote, largest deal ever made of any kind, not only trade. This weekend, the U.S. and China agreed to stop adding new tariffs for now. China and the U.S. also made farm and agriculture deals. That's big because Chinese tariffs focused on U.S. agriculture goods. Today, groups critical of Facebook say they aren't entirely sold on the changes Facebook laid out in its new civil rights report. In that report, Facebook says it will actively encourage people to participate in the census and to vote. It will ban ads that encourage people not to. Facebook says it's finalizing new policies meant to limit voter suppression, intimidation, and election interference. The NTSB and FAA are investigating this morning after a plane crash in Texas killed 10 people on Sunday morning. Investigators say a private twin-engine plane veered off course and slammed right into the hangar. The plane burst into flames and everyone on board was killed. The flight was heading from Addison, Texas to St. Petersburg, Florida. Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused the plane to go down. We were boiling in the heat here in central Indiana over the weekend, but it's nothing compared to the summer temperatures they're dealing with in Europe. In the last week alone, several different countries set new June records for the hottest temperature. In one part of France on Friday, the temperature hit 114 degrees. That topped a record from 2003. During that heat wave, more than 14,000 people died in France. Schools have been closed across Europe to keep kids safe. And a surprise summer hailstorm caused major damage in Mexico. Here's what people are waking up to in Guadalajara. Hundreds of homes, businesses, and cars are damaged or destroyed. Some people told the local news they saw hail piled up to 6 feet deep. I mean, just look at that truck trying to get through there. There were several injuries, but thankfully no one was killed. Todd, I am assuming a very rare sight to see in Mexico.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, they get thunderstorms all the time, but the environment's not really conducive to a lot of hail. So, especially right on the coast there in Guadalajara, I think that's where Guadalajara is. But yeah, certainly they don't see that all that often. All right, here in central Indiana, we are dealing with quiet conditions this morning. Here is the One America building looking off past Eskenazi Hospital there in the distance, and you see there's no visibility issues here this morning. That is the good news. We don't have a ton of haze out there. The humidity has actually come down a little bit from yesterday afternoon with those storms that passed, but it's going to come right back here, unfortunately, this afternoon. 68 in Indianapolis, 67 in Bloomington, 73 is the current temperature in Muncie. So today, once again, as soon as the sun comes up, we warm very, very quickly across the area. We'll be around 80 degrees already by 10 a.m. with partly cloudy skies. 90 degrees by 2 p.m. 91's the high temperature here this afternoon, and even by 5 p.m., 6 p.m. if you're getting off work, temperatures are still right around 90. And this doesn't even factor in the humidity that's out there throughout the day today. Heat index values probably 95 to about 98 degrees throughout the day today, and then tomorrow they're actually probably even a little bit higher. Tomorrow, heat index values could be approaching 100 degrees, and I'll show you those in just a second. As far as rain goes, Saturday we just had some isolated storms storms that popped up in the peak heat of the day. You had some lightning, some heavy downpours. Yesterday, we had that big wave of heavy rain that impacted the western and southwestern portion of the state. It's quiet this morning, but as we go throughout the day today, it's more of those pop-up storms that we'll see throughout our Monday compared to that wave of rain that comes through. The storm track today for all the heavy rainfall is going to be to our north. So the heat and humidity is by far the bigger concern for you if you're going to be out and about at the pool, maybe at the golf course, or if the kids have a ball game here today. Stay hydrated, wear the sunscreen. This is the third day in a row potentially that we hit 90 degrees, and that would classify it as an official heat wave across the area. You need 3 days of 90-degree temperatures or higher for that to happen in a row. And as far as the storm chances go, again, look, here we are, just some spotty storms here and there across the area, and that is just about it. I'll fast forward this into tomorrow for you. Tomorrow we could get into the storms a little bit earlier in spots across the area, but they're still going to be very spotty in nature. The coverage isn't going to be all that great. So tomorrow is a day very similar to today with high temperatures that are going to be in the 90s. Overnight tonight going back down into the 70s. So it's warmer overnight tonight than it is right now. And then here's that forecast for tomorrow. 72 to start, 91 to finish with those scattered storms building in. And then here is your peak heat index forecast as we work our way throughout the next few days. 94, 98, 98, 100, and then Saturday back down to 93. So our actual temperatures go down a little bit towards the 4th of July, but your heat index values go up. That's because the humidity is going to come up even higher as we get towards the end of the week. So 4th of July onward, it's going to be very warm, very humid, and with that heat and humidity, a little better chance of scattered showers and storms from Thursday into the holiday weekend. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road. Up on the north side, traffic's flowing just fine, and the roads are dry. Great news for your morning drive today. Let's take a look at the map. Coming in from this east side, if you're heading westbound on I-70 from Post Road to I-65, should run you about 10 minutes, so traffic's flowing along just fine. But let's take a look at this stretch right now. Here's a look at I-70 at Post Road. Pretty empty out there on the roadways. The roads are dry. Good news, that northwest side construction project up on I-65, that closure, it's back open just in time for your morning drive, but do keep in mind those southbound lanes are going to close on July 12th.
Elena, thank you. We are just days away from 4th of July, and the Noblesville Fireworks Festival Planning Committee is having trouble finding enough volunteers. They're asking people to please consider donating just a few hours to help make the event successful. There are 3 different shifts they need filled for just a few hours each throughout the day. The job mainly involves interacting with the community by running bounce house inflatables in the kids zone. We have details on how you can volunteer on the RTV6 News app and the IndyChannel.com. And don't forget, ABC Shark Tank is coming to Indianapolis. You can pitch your idea to producers at an open call on July 16th at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doors open at 6 a.m. We've got more information on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. It has been a wild 24 hours in the NBA world. Just ahead, we'll show you the big moves and what the Pacers did to help their team. And Team USA looking to punch its ticket to the World Cup final. We're getting you ready for the big match tomorrow in France.
Let's try it. Fast foodies know the deal.
The craziness of the NBA free agency period is in full swing this morning. And if you were busy yesterday, we have a bunch of huge moves to catch you up on. The biggest news was Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving heading to Brooklyn to play for the Nets. They're expected to be joined by DeAndre Jordan. The Golden State Warriors reportedly are trading away Andre Iguodala and bringing in D'Angelo Russell. The Indiana Pacers have been busy as well. They've added Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb to the team. But unfortunately, because of NBA rules, teams can't officially announce any of these moves until July 6th. The men's national soccer team is moving on to the semifinals in the Gold Cup tournament. They were able to squeeze out a victory last night. It was Team USA versus the country of Curacao in Philadelphia. The game was far closer than most people expected, with Team USA missing out on several chances throughout the game. They were able to get on board when Weston McKennie scored in the 25th minute. That was the only goal of the match, with the Americans holding on for a 1-0 victory. Now they turn their attention to a big matchup with Jamaica. That semifinal is set for Wednesday night in Nashville. And this morning, Team USA women's team is getting set for a big matchup this week with a trip to the World Cup final on the line. The American team is fresh off their big win on Friday afternoon against host country France. Megan Rapinoe scored 2 goals to give the USA a 2-1 victory. Now Team USA turns its eyes to England in the semifinals. That game is set for tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If the U.S. wins tomorrow, they'll reach the finals of the World Cup for the 3rd tournament in a row. Good luck. We all know that Patriots quarterback Tom Brady is a fierce competitor on the football field. Well, that extends to the golf course as well, apparently. Over the weekend, he forgot kids were around when he hit a bad shot. Just take a look.
Left chest over my right foot. Good. Oh, you. Sorry, boys.
Well, anyone who has played golf is pretty familiar with that feeling. Let's hope the Colts make Brady that mad if they meet in the playoffs this coming season. Right, Todd?
That's right. I wonder where he's playing. That's pretty nice there.
All right. Well, if anyone is heading out to the golf course today, it's going to be a hot one.
It is. I encourage you to go early this morning if possible. The earlier the better before this heat builds in. But honestly, it's going to warm very quickly here throughout the morning hour. As soon as that sun comes up, we're looking at temperatures in the 80s already, probably by 10 a.m. Noontime temperature right around 88 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Then as we continue into the rest of the day, highs will be in the 90s for just about everybody across the area. But when you factor in the humidity, which will be high once again, it will feel like it's in the 90s for everybody, even if your actual temperature doesn't get there. As far as storm chances, just a chance of a spot storm popping up here this afternoon. Not expecting any severe weather. If you did see a storm, it would be mainly a heavy downpour and a little bit of lightning.
Todd, thank you. It is an important reminder as we are set for another hot day in central Indiana. The message from the Indianapolis Animal Care and Services about leaving pets in hot cars. That's coming up. We'll be right back.
This week, the fireworks are on GMA.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
The last Hoosier State Line train left the station over the weekend, and now at 5:30, a pilot service hopes to connect you to the Windy City. Plus, it's July, and that means new laws are now on the books in the Hoosier State. Coming up, we're looking at the impact the laws will have on you and your family. But first, here at 5:30, we want to thank you for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick. And it is nice and dry out there right now. It's pretty hot if you haven't been outside yet, and it's only going to get hotter, Todd.
Yeah, you know, it's quiet weather-wise, at least here throughout the morning hours. And this afternoon, we'll build in some isolated downpours with a few thunderstorms, but they're all hit or miss. It's this typical summertime pattern with the pop-up storms and the peak heating of the day. 60s and 70s here this morning. 65 in Crawfordsville and Greencastle, 69 in Richmond. The humidity's actually come down just a little bit compared to yesterday. With the passage of those storms that went through parts of central Indiana yesterday afternoon and evening, where we had the heavy rain and all that lightning and hail from Bloomington up through Crawfordsville and Lafayette. Did not impact Indianapolis, though, yesterday. And the storms today are still off to our west, and then we have some to our north. But you notice some here in southern Wisconsin and then to western Illinois diving down to the south. And so we will see some impact from these storms as we head into the afternoon hours. We're just not expecting any widespread thunderstorm action throughout the day today. And the big weather story, again, the heat and humidity all the way into the mid to upper 80s already by the noon hour, with high temperatures eventually getting up to right around 91 degrees. You factor in that humidity, though, it's going to feel like 95 or higher throughout much of the afternoon. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look over on our west side, I-65 just south of 38th Street. You can see traffic's flowing along just fine. Pretty empty out there on the road still. So as we get into rush hour, keep an eye on this area. This is one of those areas that does get a little backed up. Let's take a look at the map. We have coming in from our southeast side on I-74 from Acton Road up to 465. Should run you about 5 minutes. So everything's moving along just fine. That rings true no matter where you're headed right now. Let's take one last look at the roads. This time we're looking looking at I-70 at Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. This is over on the east side. You can see all is moving along just fine, both directions for your morning drive. So as you're making your way out the door, should be a breeze.
Elena, thank you. After making their way to the desk of the governor earlier this year, new laws are now going into effect today. Live outside the State House is our Aaron Lish with a few that could affect your family. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. So yes, there were quite a few laws that went to the desk of the governor and then did pass, but there are some that will affect teens and Hoosier students. The first one that we're looking at is for pregnant 16 and 17-year-olds. They can go to the doctor and get their routine treatment even if their parents aren't around. Next, remember how 3 kids lost their lives after being hit by a car in northern Indiana at a bus stop. There is a new law that will increase the penalty for passing a school bus with its stop arm out. And finally, it's time to study more about your U.S. history. High schoolers must take the naturalization test, and this is taken by people who want to be U.S. citizens. It will not affect their graduation requirements, and I'll tell you, Meredith, I looked it up. There are about 100 questions, and I would certainly have to do some research on them because there's some hard questions out there. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to have a little bit more on some more laws that will go into effect today. Back to you in the studio, Meredith.
All right, Aaron, thank you. A new bus service is available starting today for people looking to travel between Indianapolis and Chicago. The service is a direct response to the end of the Hoosier State Amtrak passenger train route that ran 4 days a week. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. And Alyssa, this new company is starting out a little cheaper than its competitors.
That's right. For the first 2 weeks, our bus, that's the company's name, will be offering a promotional period where rides between the 2 cities are only $10 one way. So much cheaper than some of its competitors. Eventually, it will go up to between $25 to $40. But this is a way for the company to gauge if there's a need and interest for another busing option between the 2 major cities. Now, the Hoosier State passenger train ended yesterday due to lack of funding. Amtrak does run another route between Indianapolis and Chicago, their Cardinal route, but that only runs 3 days a week. The bus company, our bus, is hoping to help bridge the gap in transportation. There are some busing options to and from Chicago through Greyhound and Megabus, but our bus transportation planner says there are some features that make this company a little bit different.
Our service is more app-based, and the other thing that's different is that these are high-quality tour buses that are typically used for events. So the quality of the vehicle is nicer.
Now, the bus route and stops is also based on customer feedback. Right now, there will be a stop in Zionsville based on customer feedback, but if there are enough requests for other cities, the company will add those stops as well. And right now, the company is going to run just 2 different times for that bus. One option leaves here at 7:30 in the morning, just right across from the Indigo Transit Center, and that gets to Chicago right around 2 p.m., or rather 10 a.m., and then it does have a route that leaves from Chicago at 5 p.m. and gets back here at 10 p.m. at night. They say if there's a need and interest from riders, they will add other times eventually. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. A warning this morning for pet owners as temperatures begin hovering around that 90-degree mark. Indianapolis Animal Care and Services is seeing an increase in calls regarding animals being left outside. Now, keep in mind there is a Marion County ordinance requiring all pets to be brought inside or in a temperature-controlled facility when temperatures reach 90 degrees or higher. Pet owners are also encouraged to watch for the following signs of a heat stroke, which can include panting, staring, and warm, dry skin and a rapid heartbeat. Parts of Beech Grove High School are a total loss after a tornado damaged the building last month. That includes the Science Academy and its 3 classrooms and the Hornet Enrichment Academy, formerly known as the Media Center. District leaders shared the update on Friday. They also say the school is closed to the public as cleanup and construction continues. This morning, we are working to learn the name of a burglary suspect who drowned in a West Side retention pond after running from officers. Police responded to a burglary at the clubhouse of the Waterfront Terrace Apartments Saturday morning. That's near 34th and Muller Road. Authorities say at least 2 suspects ran from police. One of the suspects went into a retention pond and drowned. Fire department crews later recovered the body. 2 juvenile suspects were arrested on suspicion of burglary. A man is recovering after being shot in Marion, and police say it all happened because he refused to give the suspect a cigarette. Marion police arrested 20-year-old Delance Arlonzo Scaife. They say he shot a man after he refused to give him a cigarette. It all happened near 14th Street and South Adams Street around 11:30 Friday night. Police say the victim was taken to a hospital in stable condition. Thousands of fireworks bought in southeastern Indiana are being recalled after an accident caused a boy to lose his hand. Grandma's Fireworks in West College Corner near Connorsville is pulling 18 products from its shelves. That's 25,000 individual fireworks. The products include names like Rise to the East, Angry Elf, and Crazy Robot Flowers. The fireworks are apparently overloaded with pyrotechnics, which can cause bigger than expected explosions. In March, a 12-year-old boy lost his hand after the broken end of a rocket exploded. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says anyone who purchased the fireworks should immediately stop using them and return them for a full refund. The Better Business Bureau of Central Indiana is warning about a growing scam that can trick even the savviest of people. Jenny Alley of Cloverdale has a timeshare in Branson, Missouri, but it's too expensive, so she wanted to get rid of it. She got a call from a company offering to buy it. Jenny researched the company's name, and it was legitimate. Or so she thought. It turns out the scammers were posing as a real timeshare reseller. Now Jenny is out thousands of dollars in fees she sent to the fake company. The Better Business Bureau says this scam is huge right now as many Hoosiers look to unload timeshares.
How much money? In all, I'm out $4,100.
And what kind of money is that to you?
I mean, that's a month's pay for me. So that means bills could potentially not get paid if, I never see that money again.
The Better Business Bureau investigated a timeshare company called D&W International Closings. Its address is in downtown Indianapolis, but Call 6 Investigates found the business doesn't even exist. Bottom line, there are legitimate businesses that will buy timeshares, but many are a scam. So make sure you know who you're dealing with and never wire any money. It is 5:39 right now. Oh, Todd, that pool, that beach, that looks really nice right about now.
You're right. Absolutely. The water was a great place to be over the weekend when there was a pool or a lake across central Indiana. As you walk out the door, some of you probably have the whole week off. Many of you, though, heading to work for a few days here. As we get you out the door this morning, temperatures are in the 60s, and we'll warm into the 70s and the 80s very, very quickly here throughout the course of the morning hours. And by mid-morning, you certainly will be able to go to the pool. Your noontime temperature will be 84 degrees. 4 p.m., 91 degrees will be the temperature. That's our high for the day today. You notice the thunderstorm icon here. There will be the chance of an isolated thunderstorm here and there across central Indiana. So obviously, if you get any lightning, you have to get out of the pool. But the water, a great place to be. But make sure you have that sunscreen on. UV index here today is a 9. That is very, very high. Burn time anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. Not only should you put sunscreen on, drink plenty of water as well and stay hydrated. We'll talk more about your 4th of July forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you. President Trump making history this weekend by becoming the first sitting president to visit North Korea. Straight ahead, the latest on the efforts to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula. Plus, the CDC just approved new guidelines for the HPV vaccine. After the break, how the changes could impact people in your household. Elena.
Save at Anoro.com.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now 5:44. Here's a look on the west side, 465 at West 10th Street. Traffic's flowing just fine both northbound and southbound. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update coming up in the next few minutes.
Elena, thank you. Here's a look at the news expected to make headlines today as Wimbledon kicks off today at the All England Club. Serbia's defending champion Novak Djokovic is considered to be the best player to beat in men's singles. The big three, which includes Djokovic, Roger Federer, and and Rafael Nadal continue to dominate men's singles, having won the past 10 Grand Slam titles between. The trio have won 53 of the past 64 majors. Closing arguments are set to begin today in the trial of Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. A jury of 5 Marines, 2 sailors, and 1 SEAL will decide the fate of the 19-year veteran. Gallagher is accused of multiple violations of military law in Iraq, including murdering a prisoner and posing for a photo next to a corpse. Many SEALs testified, including one who stunned the court when he testified that he was in fact the one who killed the militant. Gallagher has pleaded not guilty to the charges. If convicted, he faces life in prison. President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un agreed to keep talking about peace on the Korean Peninsula. That's what North Korean state media is reporting this morning. It comes just after President Trump made world history. He stepped into North Korea and met Kim Jong-un in the demilitarized zone. He says he invited Kim Jong-un to the White House and that they agreed to visit each other's country at the right time. More than 30 cows are safe near Rochester, Minnesota this morning. Officials say the cows were swept away by fast-moving floodwaters. The cow's owner says 21 are still missing, but they do know some cows ended up about 7 miles downstream. National Weather Service officials say heavy rain on Friday caused rivers to swell quickly. More rain is expected to fall in that area later this week. And we too are expecting some rain later today, Todd, but you said nothing to be too concerned about.
Yeah, we'll see nothing like that as far as flooding goes, but there could be a few brief heavy downpours. You may have to take your plans inside just briefly for maybe 5 to 10 minutes as it passes, but we're just dealing with those pop-up storms here throughout the day today, and they're all part of this heat and humidity that is going to be around throughout not only today, but really going forward throughout the remainder of the week. We may not get to 90 degrees every day this week, but we'll get very close. Storms today are very spotty. Better chances of storms arrive as we head into the 4th of July as they start to become a little more numerous across the area. Partly cloudy skies here this morning. As you look off to the west, 68 degrees. That dew point's at 65. So that's a pretty comfortable number. It's come down just a little bit from where it was yesterday, but the problem is it's going to go back up here later on this afternoon. We're going to get into that 70-degree dew point, but just starting to bring in that tropical-like feel, just a little bit of a light breeze here this morning. With temperatures that are in the 60s and 70s, 67 in Bloomington as well as Lafayette, 70s the current temperature as you make your way to the east in Richmond. But notice this heat building still off to our west. It's in the mid-70s this morning in Des Moines, near 80 in St. Louis at what is 447 there for them. So it's really, really warm off to our west, and that's what's going to be in our place tomorrow. So tomorrow potentially could be the warmest day we've seen in this heat wave that we've been dealing with across the area. So partly cloudy here this morning, quickly into the 80s by 11 a.m., 86 degrees by 2 p.m., and then eventually into the low 90s as we get into the afternoon hours for our high with those spotty storms starting to build in. Here's where we are this morning with partly cloudy skies. A few showers off in Illinois. Those will miss central Indiana. The bulk of the heavy rainfall to our north, that is where it stays throughout the day today. But we'll manufacture just a chance of an isolated storm with this hazy sunshine sneaking in here in spots. The better chance of the storms at this point, once again, just like yesterday, western and southwestern portions of the area. And many of you go throughout the entire day today without even seeing a storm. And then for the day tomorrow, it's more the same, just some spotty downpours here and there across the area. Now tomorrow, day very similar to today with temperatures climbing into the low 90s, those isolated storm chances. Once we do get into the 4th of July, though, it's going to be warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Partly cloudy skies, but little better chance of scattered showers and storms in the forecast as we work our way into the 4th of July holiday itself and then beyond into next week. And it turns very, very humid by the end of the week. So even though the temperatures come down a little bit out of the 90s, the humidity comes up. So it's going to feel even more uncomfortable later on this week compared to what we have going on today and tomorrow. Elena.
All right. Thank you, Todd. The good news is no major problems out on the roadways right now. Coming in from this northeast side, heading southbound on I-69 from Huntington Avenue down to 465 should take take you about 5 minutes. So traffic's flowing along just fine for your drive. Let's take a look at this stretch right now. I-69 at 96th Street. You can see over here those roads are dry for your morning drive, and everything's moving along without delay.
Elena, thank you. The human papillomavirus vaccine has new guidelines, and they include more age groups being advised to get the preventative vaccine. The CDC Committee on Immunization Practices recommends men get the vaccine through age 26. That mirrors the age advised for women. The CDC also updated recommendations for adults ages 27 to 45 who have not been vaccinated to talk to their doctors about getting immunized. HPV vaccines are not licensed for anyone over 45. Children should still start receiving doses around 11 or 12. HPV is often spread through sex and can lead to 6 types of cancer. A Las Vegas mom sends her autistic son on his first solo plane trip, and the ending is better than she could have ever imagined. The story you have to hear to get your Monday started ahead in our Trending 6.
Meat Lover Slam is here. See you at Denny's.
Before you head out the door, it's time for the Trending 6. These are some of the stories that everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about. Last month, this video of a brawl at a minor league baseball game in Colorado went viral. 13-year-old Josh Cordova was umpiring the game and made the call that upset the parents. Josh stayed calm during the entire event and was recognized by the Colorado Rockies at a game this weekend. The team says Josh's professional attitude during the brawl is something to be admired. We believe that it is perfectly okay to start off your week with an adorable sea lion video. So say hello to one of the Brookfield Zoo's newest additions, a California sea lion pup. He was born on June 10th with his mom, 9-year-old Josie. The two are currently behind the scenes bonding and learning how to swim. The public will be able to see the little guy in just a few weeks. Awfully adorable. Huge swarms of mayflies flocked to northeast Ohio's lakeshore, resulting in a blanket of bugs. Yeah, pretty much the opposite of adorable. In fact, the swarm was so dense it was picked up on a local news station's weather radar. It may look like nightmare fuel, but mayflies are actually harmless and they only live for a couple of days. Parking tickets are a pain, but Las Vegas is letting their residents pay up in a different way. For 1 month, if you get a ticket in Las Vegas, you can pay it back with school supplies. Instead of your typical parking fee, the Las Vegas City Council is accepting classroom supplies like paper, pens, erasers, and sticky notes. All the supplies will be donated to a local nonprofit. NASA is going back in time. The space agency is restoring its Apollo Mission Control Center at its Johnson Space Center in Houston. The iconic room will look as it did when Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Crews have restored the room's iconic consoles as well as the simulation control room used for tests. The restoration is part of NASA's big celebration of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. 7-year-old Landon has autism and was pretty scared to take his first solo flight. His mom didn't know how he'd do alone, so she wrote a note to his neighbor on the plane hoping they'd help out. She stuffed some cash inside as a thank you. Well, Ben Pedraza secured the lucky seat. He says the direct flight from Vegas to Portland was full of nonstop activity. At one point, Ben says Landon even told him to stop making dad jokes. Oh, and the $10 in the note from Landon's mom, Ben donated it to the Autism Society in his new friend's honor. Oh, that is such a great story. What a good way to start off our week, Todd. Yeah. And starting off our week on a warm note, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know, it's more of the same. We're taking the weekend weather and just carrying it over here into the start of the work week. We're getting out the door this morning with temperatures that are in the 60s and 70s across the area, but radar is quiet. No rain expected here for your morning commute. As we work our way, though, into the afternoon hours, there will be the chance of some spotty storms popping up once again. Not expecting the severe weather like we saw yesterday. It's more just a heavy downpour and a little bit of lightning. The bigger story, the temperature, 91 degrees, your actual high. Heat index values today, once again, will be anywhere between 95 and 100 degrees. So make sure you drink plenty of water and have the sunscreen handy if you're going to be out and about.
All right, Todd, thank you. The calendar change to July 1st means new laws hit the books in the Hoosier State. Coming up new at 6, our Aaron Lish is taking a look at how some of those new laws may impact you. And here's a live look right now across DePaul University in Greencastle as the sun rises on your Monday morning. What a gorgeous way day to start off July. It is 5:56 right now, and there is more news, weather, and traffic right here on Good Morning Indiana to start your work week. We'll be right back.